Cinco de Mayo, everybody. Welcome, one and all, to the K.O.E. Nation. We are here to celebrate Cinco de Mayo. Now, contrary to popular belief, Cinco de Mayo is not Mexican Independence Day. That is actually celebrated on September 16th. Cinco de Mayo is a very special event in which the Mexican militias and military, it really was kind of a combination of the Mexican military and their local militias that were able to push back the superpower of the French. The three characters that you need to know for the reason of Cinco de Mayo is Napoleon III. He was the leader of France at the time, the nephew of the Napoleon that we all, of this particular fame and Waterloo fame. There's also Ignacio Zaragoza. He was the brave general at the Battle of Puebla. And also the other main character that you need to know is President Juarez of Mexico at the time. In the 1860s, Mexico's economy was going through a very rough time. So President Juarez instituted a 2-year moratorium on the debts that were owed to the European nations, and which at the time was about 70 million pounds to England, 3 million pounds to France, and about 20 million pounds to Spain. Needless to say, the European powers were not happy about this, so they sent a military expedition to Mexico, in essence, to collect these debts. And when they arrived, they claimed they weren't there for any greater territorial ambitions. That's what the claim was. But Napoleon III had, as they would say, much like his uncle, delusions of grandeur. So he definitely had territorial ambition. And when the French army started sending more and more and more scout ships filled with more and more and more troops, people started to get suspicious. And when conflict finally broke out, the moment that's remembered that commemorates Cinco de Mayo was the Battle of Puebla, where General Ignacio Zaragoza arrived at the city of Puebla 2 days before the French troops arrived, and was able to garrison enough defense to hold off the French artillery and 3 different waves of French attacks before, like a miracle to the soldiers that were in those fortresses and in that city, the rain started coming down, making a 4th charge impossible by the French troops, and Zaragoza's cavalry was even able to drive them back a certain way. The French troops encamped for a short while and then eventually withdrew. And there was other battles and the war had its consequences, but that day, the 5th of May, the ragtag group, the rebels, if they were, the folks who weren't going to be stopped by some superpower, defended their home and pushed back the imperial invaders. And that was a day that is still remembered with battle reenactments and parades around the city of Puebla to this day. It's actually now in 2020 and in past years is celebrated actually more in the United States than it actually is in Mexico. So it's a holiday that's taken its roots in the United States as well. And the reason for that actually goes all the way back to that battle. While this particular skirmish was happening in Mexico, America was having its civil war. And so the Battle of Puebla became a rallying cry for Mexican Americans that were serving in the Union Army. So it seemed like a kindred cause to them. And so I know that seems like something you might not have known about, but yes, there were actually Mexican Americans that did serve in the Union during the Civil War. And so that was what began the tradition of Cinco de Mayo being celebrated so heavily in America. And I figured for Cinco de Mayo, the official drink of Mexico is the margarita. So I figured what would be more appropriate than to celebrate the 5th of May, Cinco de Mayo, and the Battle of Puebla than the official drink of the nation of Mexico. Now, to make a margarita, you just need a couple of simple things. As you can see, I've pre-salted the glass. I've just done half salt. Salt is a flavor enhancer on food, and it can also work in beverages. But as you can see, I did not put it on the inside. You don't want the salt to get mixed with the liquid. You want it to be a choice. So the secret to a good margarita is proportions. Now there's two different recipes. One that calls for some sort of triple sec, Cointreau, like I have here, or one that calls for simple syrup, which is just water and sugar boiled to the point where it gets a bit more syrupy consistency. I'm going with the triple sec because I like to. And I'm also going with a very, very high-end tequila. This is Patron Estate Release. I will be doing a review of this later, but this is Cinco de Mayo. And normally this would be drank just neat, but I think even the folks who distilled this and made this could understand using it for such an occasion. And there we go. Marvelous, marvelous tequila, 100% agave. Now, an interesting fact about it, it is claimed that if you drink nothing but 100% agave in an evening, it is impossible for you to get a hangover. I've never tested this, but they say that it's only the other things that you drink that give you a hangover the next day. They claim that 100% agave, it's impossible. I'm skeptical. I'm skeptical. But, you know, I just figured it'd be something for you to judge for yourself. Ah, that smells marvelous. Now, you want to be careful with triple sec. You don't want to drink too much of it because it can cause an upset stomach. And then, of course, lime juice, essential. You want to get 1 ounce of it exactly. And also, another little trick for you folks at home. When you mix a cocktail, you always want to start with the least expensive ingredient first. So if there's a mess up, you don't have something expensive in there that you need to figure it out. Now, the tequila. Marvelous, marvelous. I'm gonna move these off to the side now. And then when you shake a drink, of course it's to mix the ingredients, but the idea is to also get it cold and to add some oxygen. Adding oxygen really helps. And I use a very large ice cube and also a couple of small ones. You want one to displace, the large one displaces the liquids, and the small ones help in the dilution and help get it cold faster. And there we go, folks. You want to give it a good shake. There we go. Let that sit for just 1 moment. The trick to a good margarita is proportions. 2 ounces tequila, 1 ounce lime juice, 1 ounce triple sec or simple syrup. And served over ice. I'm using 1 large ice ball because why not? And just a small amount of salt, of course. All right. And now the most important part, folks, tasting. I'm going to taste the first one without the salt because I have a feeling these ingredients are so good, it's almost not necessary. That's marvelous. That is marvelous. Just tangy, just feast for the tongue. I can't describe it any other way. When you have really good ingredients, it makes the cocktail all the more. Now let's see how the salt, if it actually does enhance. Really helps mellow the lime, the overall tart of the lime. Yep, I can see why the salt became a mainstay. I don't think it's needed because of how high on the ingredients are. But yeah, I can see how that helps. But boy, folks, this is the Margarita of Extreme, and this is Cinco de Mayo. I am your King of Extreme, Phil K.O.E, signing off. And folks, as I'm known to say around here, all that being said, this has been our Cinco de Mayo celebration, folks. Join us for all the crazy twists and turns that we have coming. But folks, thank you for joining me. Have a happy Cinco de Mayo. Have a safe Cinco de Mayo. And I'll catch you on the flip side, folks.